couple years ago, Hank Green made a video with SciShow where he said this.
Stitch this and tell us something you've seen in movies that you think might be scientifically inaccurate.
And well, I have a few ideas. So I asked a couple of my close friends to compile a list of their favorite examples of bad science in movies, and here's how that conversation went. Alright, I've got a few written down. Do you both bring some as well? Absolutely yes. Great. You know, it is unlike you to have not talked already immediately, so why don't you go ahead and go first?
Well, alright then, let's get this thing started strong with the core. I mean, the science in this movie is basically just magic. You telling me you built a train car withstands the pressure of digging to the center of the Earth? Talk about might not be scientifically accurate.
Fair enough. Admittedly, that's a pretty strong start, albeit a completely unsurprising one. On the other hand, San Andreas is a movie about earthquakes, and specifically a real fault that we know a lot about, and they still get stupid things wrong.
Okay, elaborate.
Do you remember this shot from the movie? Yes, I do. I mean, even disregarding the fact that the plates are absolutely not going to pull apart from each other like that, leaving an enormous fucking hole in the earth, they just got the direction wrong. San Andreas is a right lateral strike slip fault, which means if you're standing on one side when the plates are moving, the opposite side is going to look like it's going from the left to the right. And they just did it the wrong way round in the movie. Literally all they had to do was flip it 180 degrees and be perfectly fine. I don't understand. Okay, now that's quite funny. I definitely thought you were going to talk about the tsunami.
Now wait a damn minute. You telling me earthquakes don't cause tsunamis?
No, they definitely can when there's a subduction zone. So imagine a scenario where one tectonic plate is going underneath another one. The huge amount of friction as this happens is going to pull the top one to bend down with it. That is, until there's too much pressure that builds up here in this bend and it has to pop back up. And of course, if there's an ocean above when this is happening, then as that pop happens, it's going to shoot a bunch of water up and out, causing a tsunami. Right, the problem is that the San Andreas fault is a transform fault, so the plates are just sliding back and forth like this. There's no subduction going on at all. And besides, the fault's on the fucking land. It's not even out in the ocean to begin with. Also, I'm pretty sure the San Andreas fault just isn't capable of generating an earthquake with a magnitude of over 9.0, which I think it does like 9.7 in the movie, so.
Well, right then. You know, actually, that little detail you mentioned about the plate direction going the wrong way reminded me of a tiny, stupid little detail in the car. At one point, they blast a block of, I don't know, vibranium or some shit. I don't know what it's called.
Unobtainium. That's what they call the material. You can't be serious.
No, I am. Anyway, they blast a block of this unobtainium with some death ray or something, and the sheet of metal behind it only dissolves above the block's path and not underneath it. What?
Look, like you said before, you basically just have to ignore that most of the high-level science in that movie is just magic necessary to move the plot along, so whatever. But the little stuff like that, now that is hilarious.
It's like nobody was paying any attention making that movie.
Yeah, no, totally. While we're on the topic, actually, I have a bit of a confession to make. And listen, I take all kinds of unpopular stances. I'm an atheist, for example.
Whatever, man.
I'm also vegan and think that anyone else that can be should be. Right, fine. Better for the planet, less animal suffering, sure. Right, okay, cool. But I still think my most unpopular opinion is I think The Core's a good movie. I enjoy it overall, you know. You cannot be bloody serious, mate.
Sir, you're going to want to move on from that one as quickly as possible.
Yes, for sure. And let's see, this is a dinosaur page anyway, right? We can't not talk about Jurassic Park. So, for example, obviously the Dilophosaurus is just completely incorrect. It was larger in real life, almost 20 feet long, and it did not have a frill and it did not shoot venom. Furthermore, I actually think that the way it's portrayed as being sticky or goopy would be totally impossible. Look at snakes, like cobras that spit venom. It has to be purely a liquid so that it can shoot out like that when the venom sacs are squeezed. And that just would not work at all if the venom was sticky. Huh, interesting, you're probably right. Well, another one is that Tyrannosaurus Rex would totally have been able to see you if you didn't move. I don't know where the idea came from that its vision was based on movement.
Well, gotta give some credit to Michael Crichton here, who in the original writing of the book, Jurassic Park, did not write this detail as something that Dr. Grant somehow already knew about the Tyrannosaurus Rex, but instead something that he was surprised to discover about it, which does make it somewhat more clearly a speculative detail that is inherent only to this telling of the dinosaurs and does not run as much a risk of implying that this is something that we in fact know to be true about Tyrannosaurus Rex. Now, this being said, Crichton does provide an explanation as to how this could be the case, namely frogs apparently got a similar condition. So in the book, Dr. Grant speculates that the dinosaurs perhaps had some kind of amphibian visual cortex. Now, because we know all them Jurassic Park dinosaurs had their DNA mixed with amphibians, this does still mean there's a way of interpreting this particular feature of the Tyrannosaurus as being just a feature of the Jurassic Park wrecks and not as something that would be true of the real one 70 million years ago. What y'all looking at me like that for?
Oh, just impressed is all. It's a good point. A lot of good points, actually. Honestly, I think we had no idea you knew how to read.
Excuse me, what the hell you think this is for?
Hey, we all like to make believe, don't we?
You know what? You can go to hell.
Okay, that's enough, please. The last Jurassic Park example I wanted to give is that all the theropods' wrists look broken. So the Dilophosaurus, raptors, and the T-Rex all have their wrists rotated down like this, when in real life we know they would have been rotated up like this. There's also, of course, the fact that we now know the raptors should have had feathers.
And there are ornithomimosaurs too.
True, very true. All right, anything else? Maybe from other movies?
Well, I suppose if we go in a more biological direction, I suppose I'll mention one of the worst science disaster movies I ever seen in terms of the science being accurate.
Evolution?
Yep.
Oh my god, that movie is so bad and it perpetuates so many common and harmful misunderstandings about evolution. I mean, it probably goes without saying, but the main one is that evolution simply does not happen that quickly at a macro level, obviously.
But the alien life forms have 10 DNA base pairs, not 4, so...
Right, like that would make any difference at all to how quickly the individuals in a population could grow and reproduce, causing the population to evolve. And the idea that fire is what forces an evolutionary response and is therefore the catalyst for hyper-rapid evolution, like, what are we even talking about here?
Hell, that's not even evolution. That's either a single organism growing or a population multiplying. And either way, the organisms to do that need food. You can't just grow that much or reproduce that much that quickly out of nowhere just because one match made things a little warm.
On that note, do you remember at the very end of the movie where they try to wipe out the entire alien ecosystem with napalm and it instantly creates this giant amoeba-like monster? Rather I didn't, but unfortunately yes. And then it starts splitting down the middle to undergo mitosis? Like, come on, that is something single cells and single-celled organisms do.
Call me crazy as a soup sandwich, but I don't think that's a single cell.
No, I mean, besides other obvious reasons it can't be, cells just have a maximum size cap because volume increases proportionally faster than surface area. So at some point, a cell doesn't have enough surface area along its cell membrane to be able to let in enough nutrients to be absorbed through to the center of the cell fast enough to keep the whole cell functioning all the way through. But anyway, there's so many things we could talk about with this movie. Is there anything else we should mention? Yes, one more please. I think that perhaps one of the worst things about the evolutionary science in that movie is that the alien hyper-rapid evolution mirrors certain lineages of life on Earth so closely, particularly when they arrive at a humanoid species that is remarkably similar to us and to other great apes. And this all just goes to implying that there's one evolutionary pathway, that life in general is goal-oriented towards progressing through. And that is not even remotely true. I mean, humans are not the pinnacle of evolution somehow. 4 billion years or even much more time on another planet with completely different environments, completely different environmental changes would very likely produce animals and other creatures that look nothing at all like us. I mean, evolution mostly just happens because individual organisms that have beneficial traits for the environment they live in are more likely to survive and reproduce and therefore pass along those beneficial traits to the next generation. And then, of course, as the environment changes, what traits are beneficial may also change, leading to different sorts of individuals being the ones to survive and reproduce and pass along their traits for the time being. And as this process goes and goes, over time, the population may change. And all that is to say that there is not a set end goal for evolution. Neither is there a single form that life could take that is universally, categorically the best. Precisely. Perfect. Then you know what? Let's go ahead and finish with that. I mean, I bet scripting this part of the video was horrible. Oh my god, yeah. I mean, there's just too many things wrong with this bloody movie. I'd imagine it was an enormous pain to figure out even just which things to mention and how to succinctly talk about them.
Excuse me, what do you mean scripting? What video? What happened to y'all?
What are you talking about? Yeah, sorry man, what is wrong?
Yeah, y'all starting to real freak me out now. If you don't...
No, I'm just kidding.
I'm back.
It has been a long time since I've uploaded a true long-form YouTube video, so I hope you enjoyed it. And a special thanks goes out to... Oh, actually, nobody yet. But starting right now, if you want your name to be listed at the end of all of my YouTube videos, it can be. Because by the time you're seeing this video, I will have finally launched my Patreon page. This has been a long time in the making, and I'm so excited to finally get to share with you and anyone else in my audience some really fun perks to allow us to actually interact a little bit more and make this something more of a real community. Depending on what tier of the membership you decide to join, you could get access to everything from having your name on screen in all my YouTube videos from now on, to monthly live stream or Zoom calls with me, to getting to vote on future content that I make, to Patreon exclusive videos, to having me mail you a book that I love once or twice a year, and basically everyone who joins gets access to my Discord server, where you can interact with me and other patrons whenever you want. I say basically because I do have a tier that's just $1 a month with no perks, and that's just there for those of you that aren't super interested in the other Patreon stuff or that can't justify spending more than that but still want to support what I do. And if that's you, I greatly appreciate it. Seriously. But for as little as only $4 a month, you can join one of my main tiers, which I gotta say, I think I kind of killed it with these banners. They look sick.
Oh, and I totally forgot to mention the first 15 people to join any one of those main tiers using the code HALF-OFF in the next 3 weeks gets a full 50% discount to their first month of membership, which basically means you'll get access to a tier one step higher than what you're actually paying for. And then, of course, after that first month, you can change to a lower tier or cancel completely. Okay, sorry for the interruption.
Anyway, the point is that even though most of you wouldn't notice an extra $4 or $8 spent per month, I mean, I think the standard Netflix subscription is like $16, it'll still get you access to all those cool perks I mentioned before, and what might not make any noticeable difference to any one of you, if enough of you join, could make a huge difference for me. My goal is to share my excitement and my sense of wonder about the amazing natural world with other people, and to teach people that no matter who you are, you absolutely can understand what science is, how it works, and what real scientists out there are doing. I think it's important that people have the ability to think critically and have some basic understanding of the process of science and how the world around us works. So whether or not I can make this into at least a part-time job or something like that, don't worry, I never intend to stop making videos. That being said, I've recently been trying to treat content creation as a part-time job, even though I make no money doing it, so having some kind of an income associated with my science communication work would go such a long way to me being able to spend the time and effort that it requires. Because the kind of videos that I make are almost always thoroughly researched and precisely scripted, and that can take a long time. So especially with the looming TikTok ban in the United States coming next year, which will make the platform where I have far and away the largest audience illegal to most of that audience, a huge thank you to all of you that follow me on YouTube and Instagram and that might take a minute to go and check out my Patreon page. Seriously, I'm super grateful for any of you sticking with me and supporting what I do in whatever way you choose to. It means a lot. So for old time's sake, and I mean really old time's sake, like 5 or 6 years ago, vintage Milo on YouTube, old time's sake, remember, it's not magic, it's science. Peace out.